although it's not anywhere close to its former glory, my Outlaw Rampage is coming back to the bench. Hey, y'all, what it is my Kyosho Outlaw Rampage. This was originally a ready-to-run model. Bought this truck for $149 out the door with the radio and everything. And added the rear roll cage from a Outlaw Pro kit. But it was a standalone kit that I bought off of eBay, just the cage alone. Put that on there and then outfitted it all as well with a light bar from Axial Racing, and that light bar is wired. It also has tail lights on the back of the cab. This truck is pretty much what put my channel on the map, if that's what you want to call it. I mean, I'm still a nobody out here in the grand scheme of things, but this is what got a majority of the views back in the day. It has gone from brushed to brushless. It has busted the axles twice when it went to brushless. Now, mind you, the tires that are on it are just something to keep it, just to put it in the roller. These are not what I've had on it. I'm using those on something else. But this is an absolutely fun rig to run. It was a blast to run and to try to dial in, but it's got its limitations. And so what I'm going to do is completely go through this thing and do away with one of the major components and try to update it and take it to another level. So give me just a second to take the body off. It takes it takes a minute because there's so many points of attachment, but give me a second to get the body off and I'll try to explain what we're going to be doing with this. So with the body off, this is what we've got. Now I hate to admit it, I've taken all the electronics out of it outside of the steering servo because that thing is a pain to get in and out. I've had to replace it because of the subpar steering setup that this truck has, but that servo has served its purpose since it's been in there. But I have taken everything out of it. What we're going to do is this. As you can tell, this transmission on this truck is a buggy style transmission. Looks a lot like something you would see in a Tamiya rig. You know, it's crazy wide, but it looks a lot and it performs a lot like a Tamiya rig. I love the fact that the rear end is 4-linked. You see the 2 upper links there, and then the bottom link on this side, and of course there's one on the other side as well. And then the front suspension is independent with some of the most beefiest freaking arms I've ever seen in my life on a ready-to-run rig. Look at those front arms. I mean, they're crazy. When I got into this thing, and I got into it hard, I was enjoying this thing a lot. I went back through it. It did not have bearings. I put full bearing kit through it, even in the transmission. It helped the performance, but it was still a little lacking in the handling. So I tried a beefier set of shocks. Now, these shocks on the back, and I cannot remember what they came off of, and they may have been something that I bought by themselves, but they stiffened it up like crazy. I've got them. You can see they're not turned way down, and the stance on it, whenever you put the body on, it's got a little bit of a natural rake towards the front because of those shocks. It made it a little more drivable because it was absolutely nuts trying to drive it beforehand. With the addition of those, it straightened it out. Same kind of shocks on the front end, obviously shorter. I have no preload on those at all. The right amount of, it was just stiff enough to allow it to rebound and not actually, look like some kind of a bouncing ball coming across the yard. The only problem that I had is when I went brushless, with the rigidity of the rear shocks, if you pin this thing from half throttle or anywhere from half throttle to no throttle, it would naturally just wheelie. And so I opted to take it back out and go back to a brushed motor. And from that point, it just sat. This axle back here has broken off twice. It breaks right at the stub. takes, you know, the stub just breaks off from the inside there. It just snaps it off completely if it gets out of hand. And so just way too much power running through it for a clumsy rig like that. And so yanked it out, put another axle in it. Didn't take long. That one's got a bend in it now. That's the reason why I haven't been running it, because Kyosho parts are kind of drying up. So it's just been sitting, and I want to run it again, but I want to try something. And here's what we're going to do. I want to change this rear axle, right, and take that out, put something under this rig, kind of like an AR-60 out of an axial, or an axle similar to the Rift axle from an axial also. Something that wide. You know, I'm figuring that the track on this is probably close to a foot. So an AR-60 axle would be perfect underneath there. And then modify the part of the chassis tub to accept some type of transmission, and go with a center-mounted motor and transmission with one singular drive shaft, and still utilize the 4-link suspension and make it a live axle truck. I believe that with that, this would be one of the most, I don't want to say accurate, but very close to accurate, you know, trophy trucks that you could get your hands on. And I know Losi makes a trophy truck, and, you know, Axial, no, not Axial, but Traxxas makes one that's got a live axle and independent front end also. But this, the difference in this is this will just be 2-wheel drive. The other one's a 4-wheel drive. So it's kind of in a class by itself. And I'm sure other people have done this before. But I'm not going to use what I've seen used. I think there's a way to get more speed out of this thing, and make it just about bomb proof. So I'm going to start sourcing the parts to get this thing done. This is going to be a project for a while, but I've had some people ask me about the truck and where it was, if I'd sold it, because I told you I'm bad about building them and selling them, but this is one that I just don't have the heart to get rid of. So it's time to get it on the bench, source the parts, get it on the bench, and at least attempt to make this a much better performing and much more capable, you know, trophy truck. In attempting to get this thing running again, one of the biggest problems I'm going to have is trying to locate a clear body for this. Now, I could probably find something that would fit, but I would rather have a bona fide Kyosho body without the factory paint that I could paint myself, probably orange and some crazy scheme like one of my old round track cars. But this body's had it. It's been beat. It's not tore all to pieces, but it needs changing. And the grill's had its share of misfortunate incidences. So it's time to replace that also, but I'll still use the light bar. The light bar is perfect. I just don't have a battery in it. Like I said, I don't have any electronics in there, so I can't turn it on, but it still works. The rear lights work. Everything works. And that light bar, to me, when I put that on there, that changed that truck's whole attitude. And it looked right at home. So I think if I'm fortunate enough to find another body, I'll definitely pull that off and put it on another one. But anyway, Kyosho Outlaw Rampage, my baby. It's had its tail kicked, and it's come back for more. Had its tail kicked again, and then semi-retired is coming out of retirement. Anyway, look for more to come on this thing. Rich, thanks for reminding me that I needed to do something with that. I really appreciate it, man. You guys take good care. Look for more to come on this truck, and I will catch you guys on the next video. Take real good care. Later.